Game number 2 about to get underway here in Ellensburg after the Vikings put up 19 in game number 1. Shimabukuro will lead things off for the Vikings. In game number 1, she was 2 for 5, 2 runs scored, 2 driven in. First pitch a called strike, 0-1. The Vikings here in game number 2, Shimabukuro, Marino, Dow, Brooks, Lowe, McDowell, Brown, Fesenbeck, and Wales. The DFO is Emily Paulson. She's catching. For the Wildcats defensively, quite a few changes. Maddie Zur is still over at first. McKenna King will fill in at second base. Over at third, it's Grace Dwyer, and the shortstop is Sydney Brown. Left to right across the outfield, Sydney Williams, Teresa Moyle, and Keegan Wise. The Wildcats changing that lineup after a bit of a laugher in game 1. 19-2, 5 errors committed defensively. The 2 runs came across for Central in the bottom of the 6th. This one's hit to Brown, the throw across, and that retires the Vikings second baseman for out number 1. Now batting the third baseman, number 14, Megan Marino. The first pitch now to Marino here in the top of the first with 1 down, misses high. It's Izzy Womack in the circle for the Wildcats with Maya Seaton behind the plate. Stays upstairs. It's 2 balls, no strikes from Womack. Allison Mitchell shaking up the lineup here in game 2. But Womack on the season, she has made 3 appearances now. Her second start, 1-0 on the year. Has struck out 5 hitters. And just 1 wild pitch, but an ERA of 9 and a whip of 3.25. Much higher than you would like, even through just 2+ appearances, as that one is fouled off. It has been the walks for Womack that have hurt. In 4 innings, she has walked 8. Two balls and 2 strikes to the Vikings' third baseman, Megan Marino. Hitting in the 2 spot here in game number 2. After being down in the 5 spot for the first 3 games of this series, the count is full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. As that one escapes Maya Seaton. It's a good thing Marino did not chase after it, or she would be standing at first. That was always one of the worst feelings as a catcher, is when your pitcher gets the strikeout and you can't get the ball to first in time. Here's the 3-2. Payoff pitch. Flipped into right field, and that's going to get down. A 2-hopper to the wall. Marino rounding first, heading for second. Now second to third. Here comes the throw from King. And a check on the tag, but Marino is in with a triple down the right field line. Triples aplenty in this series. Quite a few of them. Now batting the shortstop, number 19, Tatum Dow. Tatum Dow will stand in. She had 5 runs driven in the last game, 3 for 4, 2 runs scored, even drew a walk. And I think I can say decisively that she was the player of the game in game 1 and is going to have a real good shot at the GNAC Player of the Week But we'll have to see what Jeff Evans decides for his submission over there. One and 0 the count to the Vikings shortstop. Central went through 3 pitchers in game 1. This is lofted over the head of King. A dying quail into right. And just like that, the Vikings pick up where they left off. It's 1-0. Now batting the first baseman, number 24, Dakota Brooks. And Dakota Brooks comes to the plate with 1 down and a runner on. The Vikings off to an early start. Game 1 took, long enough. And at 2:45-ish, we get our back end of the doubleheader. Count 1-0 on Brooks. That means we will more than likely be battling the daylight and what is left of it. Now here's the 1-0 from Womack. That one misses low, able to be corralled and smothered by Maya Seaton behind home plate, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. The 2-0. Finds the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike to Brooks. A long game number 1. The Vikings scored 12 runs in the top half of the 6th inning. They were already ahead 7-0. Oh, hit a pole, win a prize. Off the right pole of the backstop, Matty Zer makes a nice catch. If we were playing in the backyard up in Auburn, Maine, where I grew up, that would be an out. We used to play in the backyard of my friend Matt Reed's house. Myself, Matt, and his younger brother Isaac, and anything that went onto the roof of the house, if it rolled off, if you caught it, it was an out. A snap throw from Seaton, and Zer is able to move over and make the grab. Three balls and 2 strikes. Fouled away by Brooks. Womack exhales and delivers. Oh, on the inside, Brooks will foul it off again. Womack gets the sign from the dugout. The 3-2. Brooks waits on it. Able to foul it away to hang tight. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. The last 3 have all been fouled away. The 3-2, fouled away again. A 10-pitch at-bat, at least for Brooks, as pitch number 10 coming up here. 4 foul balls in a row, the 5th foul ball of the at-bat. And that is frustrating as a pitcher when you just can't quite get it past them or have them put it in play. Here's the 3-2 again. And that's ball 4. Brooks was ready to hit, though. She took that step over towards third as if she had one more ball to go. Now batting the center fielder, number 8, Lauren Lowe. Lauren Lowe will stand in with one down and a pair on. 2 for 3 in game number 1. 2 runs scored, a run driven in. And she reached once on a walk. Swinging here. This is into right center field and down. They are going to stop Dow at third as they know the arm that Teresa Moyle carries with her out there in center. Now the base is loaded for Tori McDowell. Now batting the left fielder, number 9, Tori McDowell. McDowell did not start in game number 1. Instead came off the bench as a pinch hitter and went 0 for 1. Getting the start here in game number 2, however, after starting both games yesterday. First pitch from Womack, a called strike. Bases are loaded, only 1 out for the Vikings. They've already put 1 run across. They have 3 hits early in this first inning. Sydney Brown will be getting the start for the Vikings in the circle after coming on in relief in game 1. And this is fisted down the line and fair. No, it's going to be called foul. And we're going to have a discussion here. Cheryl Gilmore coming down. They can't reverse it. That's the thing. So mark it foul, counts 0-2. That's one of the toughest calls in baseball, softball, is that fair foul right down the line because you can't reverse it. It doesn't matter what happens. If you call it foul, it cannot become fair. If you call it fair, it can become foul. Here's the 0-2. Just misses off the outside. And when I worked for the Greenville Drive my second year under manager Kevin Bowles, who I believe now is in the New York Mets organization up around AAA, a very, very high baseball IQ manager. But in a game that I was the bat boy in, there was a runner on third for the drive, and a ball hit right down the line, as that is slapped foul on a contact swing from McDowell. And the runner obstructed the view of the home plate umpire, and the home plate umpire called it foul. It was actually fair by about 8 inches. And Kevin Bowles went out and gave the home plate umpire one of the most stern talking tos I've ever seen an umpire get, laced with a bunch of fun words. And I went out after the half inning to check on the home plate umpire, give him some water. As that one misses, it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the conversation that we had basically went, there's nothing I can do about it. I messed up. I called it foul. And, you can't change that. It's once you call it foul, you would have to start guessing at where the runners would end up, and you just can't do that. So the play has to stop. And on that one back in 2008, it robbed the Greenville Drive of a run. McDowell goes down swinging. And that is the second out and a much-needed out for the Wildcats as that eliminates the sacrifice fly opportunity. Now batting the pitcher number 4, Sydney Brown. Base is loaded. Womack nearing 30 pitches on the inning. She's got 28 of them, 17 of them strikes. Here's the first pitch to her counterpart. Over for a strike. Those 2 summers were a lot of fun working at the ballpark for the Greenville Drive. First year, I got to meet Hall of Famer Lee Smith, as that one is cued foul over to the Vikings dugout, 0-2. Lee Smith, of course, used to hold the Major League record for career saves until some guy named Mariano Rivera ended up obliterating that save record. And let me tell you, Lee Smith is a big man. Here's the 0-2. It's outside. Smith, I shook his hand the first time I met him. Actually, how I met him, I was talking to Brandon Belt, the minor leaguer at the time. He ended up getting called up and playing. He's still playing, I believe, for the San Francisco Giants, the first baseman. But he and I were having a conversation before the game. I was sitting on top of the bench in the dugout, and Lee Smith comes over, looks at me as this one's grounded foul, and says, "Hey, you're in my seat." And not knowing what to do, I got off the bench because I was not about to argue with Lee Smith. And at that point, he and the manager and Brandon Belt had a good laugh, and I got introduced to Lee Smith. And his hand could wrap around my entire hand. I don't have the biggest hands. I have catcher's hands after they've been beat into the ground for quite a few years. But he could wrap his entire hand around mine. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the first. It's always interesting who I met, who I ran into, and some of the players I got to interact with that are now, strange enough to say, but finishing their careers in the major leagues. That seems like so long ago. Over a decade, in fact. Brown goes upstairs and fouls it off. Some of the best players I met actually never made the major leagues, including West Virginia Power infielder Kenny Holmberg. He had a multi-home run game for the Drive. I think the second time they came back through in 2007, and Kenny and I had obviously gotten to talk and chat and interact. Brown drives this one in the left. It struck well towards the scoreboard. That one's going to get down. Off the fence it goes. 1 run, 2 runs. Here comes the 3rd run. Blocked by Seaton. It gets too hard off of her. And it is a slide into third for Sydney Brown, helping herself out. A 3 RBI double into left center field. And just like that, the Vikings have a 4-0 lead. Now batting, the designated player, number 44, Brooke Fesenbeck. Anyway, back to Kenny Holmberg. Kenny hit a home run in his first at-bat of the ball game, and I was in the away dugout for that one. And I normally would not wait for away players. I would, if I was in the home dugout with Greenville and they hit one out of the ballpark, as Fesenbeck flips this one into right. A running grab from Keegan Wise will end the inning, so we will pause that story until the next half inning. The Vikings, 4 runs on 4 hits. They leave 1 stranded. The Wildcats are going to have to deal with a deficit coming up in the bottom of the first when we return. Bottom of the first inning, Carpenter leads things off for Central, and Sidney Brown back out in the circle for game number 2. Central staring at a 4-0 deficit. That one misses outside as Emily Paulson, now the catcher for the Vikings in game 2. Well, back to Kenny Holmberg in the West Virginia Power. So he hits the home run. And later in the game, he's on deck. I'm standing at the top of the dugout on the first step, as I usually did as the bat boy. And that one misses in the same spot. 2 balls, no strikes. And Kenny looks down at me and says, "Caleb, I'm going yard for you." I said, "Okay, Kenny. That'll be nice." And he did. In Greenville, we have the Green Monster out in left, and then behind that is an apartment building with plexiglass windows so you don't get them shattered during batting practice. And Kenny hit one on top of the apartment building, and that was the only time I waited for an away player to come back around. And it was quite an exciting time. Kenny didn't go much higher, unfortunately, in his career, as that one's in for a strike. A get me over pitch, 3 balls, 1 strike. With the ability just to call the home run there from Holmberg and go out and hit one. Very impressive, and one of those things I will clearly remember for quite some time, as Carpenter shoots that one through the left side. The Wildcats leadoff hitter aboard. Now batting, the right fielder, number 1, Keegan Wise. Keegan Wise stands into the bottom of the first. Carpenter, the leadoff single, and Keegan still searching for her first hit of the year. Had a pinch hit opportunity in game number 1, and then came on defensively, getting the start here too in game number 2, as Allison Mitchell shaking up the lineup after what was a disappointing game 1 for Central. If you're the Vikings, you really can't get much happier. Lays down a bunt. Brown's going to have to go to first. The sacrifice does move the runner over. Now batting, the center fielder, number 13, Teresa Moyle. Moyle in game 1, 1 for 2, a run scored and a run driven in. The Wildcats could use some RBIs in this one already, as the Vikings pushed across 4, called strike to start the at-bat to Moyle. Pumped over for a strike, 0-2 to the Wildcats center fielder. Looking back at some of those rosters from 2007, a lot of players, a lot of fielders went to the major leagues. The pitching in that league that year was a little bit below average, as Moyle shoots this one right back up the middle, rounding third, heading for home. Carpenter's going to score. Moyle is going to take second on the throw. Maddie Zur will come to the plate. As Moyle and Carpenter trade places, now Zur 364 on the year. Moves out of the way of that one, 1-0. Just a few of those names, though. Desmond Jennings, Quentin Berry, Josh Reddick, who had a very nice career with the Red Sox and the Athletics, with the Houston Astros now, I believe. Tyler Flowers, the Atlanta Braves, Chicago White Sox catcher. Scott Cousins, and another outfielder, had a pretty decent major league career. And probably one of my favorite stories is that of Daniel Bard, a right-handed pitcher in the Red Sox organization who threw very hard, 98, 99 miles an hour, as that's a called strike, 2-1. He ended up making the major leagues with the Red Sox, stayed up for quite a few years, and then kind of lost it, lost his command, ended up out of baseball for a few years, and turns out he made the roster for the Colorado Rockies in last season, as Zur gets all of that, but it's nothing but a long strike, 2-2. And Daniel Bard ended up being one of the most effective relievers for the Rockies last season. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Zur. Brown getting the call from the dugout. Floats one in, but it's outside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Although in that 2 years I spent in the South Atlantic League, probably my favorite non-drive player, as Zur draws the walk to put runners on first and second. Now batting the catcher, number 4, Maya Seaton. My favorite player had to be Brett Grandstrand. He was an infielder in the Tampa Bay Rays system. Did not make the major leagues at any point in his career, but he was the first player who really opened up and kind of let me follow him around and be his shadow, despite the fact that he was not within the Red Sox organization. He was part of the roster on what was opening day and invited me out to come shag some fly balls with the rest of his teammates. And I think it was the 3rd or 4th day of the season when we had, as is typical in the South, a thunderstorm from out of nowhere, and a lightning strike hit very close somewhere to the stadium, and I was out with Grandstrand in center field, and we both booked it across the outfield, dead sprint, along with the rest of that team, as this was dropped down by Seaton, and the throw over to first advances both runners. Two in scoring position now for the shortstop. Now batting the shortstop, number 23, Sidney Brown. And Brown, McKenna King, and Allison Mitchell are going to have a get-together here. Paulson will go out and chat with her battery mate. But it was amazing for me as a 16, 17-year-old, sophomore, junior in high school, to have quite the interaction with a bunch of minor leaguers and to be shown a whole bunch of, I don't even know what the word, courtesy, I guess is the word. Brown standing in now as the meeting of the minds comes to a conclusion. The Wildcats have 2 in scoring position. That first pitch floats in for a strike, the off-speed 0-1. It has gotten colder as Laura Dalby-Nicolai joins us in the press box. The hat, the gloves, the parka. It's amazing how cold and how that temperature drops here in Ellensburg, especially with the wind that seems to be ever present. One ball, one strike on Sidney Brown from Sidney Brown. Here's the 1-1. In the air to right on a line, and it will be hauled in for out number 3. The Wildcats get one across on 2 hits. They leave 2 stranded as we head to the top of the second inning here in Ellensburg. Top half of the second inning, Riley Wales will lead off for the Vikings. The number 9 hitter had a home run in game number 1, swinging on the first pitch there. 0-1. Womack, 35 pitches, 22 of them strikes in inning number 1. Wales wearing just the 1 batting glove. We pointed that out in game 1, so I won't rehash that. 1 ball, 1 strike to Wales as it's up and in on the hands. Womack checks the wristband. Winds and delivers. Off speed, outside corner, 1-2 the count. So after the pair of 1-run games yesterday, the offense is getting going much earlier today. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Womack gets Wales to go down swinging for out number 1, and now the lineup card flips back over for the Vikings. Now batting the second baseman, number 20, Chantel Shimabukuro. Shimabukuro stands in 0 for 1 on the day, grounded out to short in the first inning. First pitch off speed, called the strike, 0-1. Womack having a very good time here early locating her off-speed stuff. We'll have to see if she leans on that as this game progresses. Here's the 0-1. In the air to left, deep. At the track, it'll be hauled in by Williams. And there are 2 away in the top half of the second. Now batting the third baseman, number 14, Megan Marino. Marino tripled and scored back in the first after having a very good game one, moving from 5-2 in the lineup. First pitch called a strike, 0-1 on the inside corner. Marino not a huge fan of that. That is one of the toughest pitches to hit, that down and in. Not quite as hard as down and away. But still clearing that low and inside stuff can be tough. That one, they try it again. It's 1-1. One ball, one strike. Womack winds and delivers. Tried to curl it onto the inside corner, but instead it just curls around the plate. A little backdoor action there. The exhale and the delivery. 3-1. Marino thought about taking a hack at it, but held off. Three balls, one strike. Gotta get out of the way of that one. Ball 4. And the Vikings extend the inning with 2 down. Now batting the shortstop, number 19, Tatum Dow. Technically, we are not in spring quite yet. Just a week or two left on winter, as we were treated to about 15 minutes of winter weather earlier today. That one skips in 1-0, a little sleet, a little slush. Still cloudy here in Ellensburg. Or the back half of this doubleheader. Here's the 1-0 to Dow. And she'll put that one back up the middle with a contact swing. 2 aboard with 2 out. Now batting the first baseman, number 24, Dakota Brooks. Time called as the home plate umpire brushes off the plate. I did have an umpire once hand me the brush to clean the plate off during my career. I did earn it. I thought his strike zone was a little iffy that day, so on one of my throws down, I just dragged my back foot, covered the plate in dirt. As that one misses, and he just looked at me, looked down at the plate, looked back at me, and handed me the brush. I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. That's on me. 1-0 the count to Brooks. Womack delivers. Fouls that one away. Everybody heads back to where they're supposed to be. Womack at 50 pitches, 30 of them strikes. The Vikings with 4 runs on 5 hits through 1 2/3. Brooks getting a quick count check, and now time is called. She'll step out, and yeah, that one off the end cap. I think that stings. And without batting gloves, makes it a little bit tougher, and she skies that one fouling out of play. And I don't think she has a rubber bat handle. I think it's athletic tape. as that tends to be the style nowadays. And I can confirm I took a few swings over at the baseball field this week. Ugly swings, not pretty in the slightest. And the last pitch that I swung at, I fouled off the end cap, and it took about 3 hours for the feeling in my pinky to come back. This has popped up near us in the press box, and it will clang off the bleachers, and it made its way down at least one flight. Count will stay at 1-2. Here's the 1-2 from Womack. Got her looking on the outside corner. The Vikings will strand a pair. It's 4-0 as we head to the bottom of the second. Bottom of the second inning about to begin. Dakota Brooks finally joins us over at first base. Oh, she's having herself a laugh. I'm not sure what was going on, but she might have been getting a little work done in between innings. She was shaking her hand quite a bit during that at-bat, but she's back. And was a little bit late to the party. McKenna King leading things off. First pitch called a strike, 0-1. I think one of the best nights from that 2007 season was after a win for the Greenville Drive. Gabe Kapler stayed around much later after the game, and myself, Paul Buchheit, my boss, Johnny Satterfield, as this is softly lined over to first. Brooks will make the catch. Welcome back to the ball game, Dakota. Ball finds her just like that, and Sydney Williams will stand in. Now batting the left fielder, number 22, Sydney Williams. And Kapler, Paul Buchheit, and Vince Fedorovich, the trainer at the time, the athletic trainer. Paul Buchheit was the head athletic trainer. We went out and played football in the outfield, 2-on-2. It was Vince Fedorovich and I against Kapler and Buchheit, and I ended up making a diving grab near center field that resulted in a divot, and the four of us were down on our hands and knees trying to repair it for about 20 minutes because we knew that if Ray Sayer, the head groundskeeper for Greenville at the time, that if he saw it the next day, he would be very upset. Williams swings, and this one is fouled off. Williams looking for her first hit of the season. Groundskeepers, though, very particular about their fields. Williams will step back in. Count is 0-2. It's also fun trying to outrun a major league outfielder as down goes Williams looking. 2 down here. Now batting the third baseman, number 3, Grace Dwyer. At some point during that season, I started having a little bit more fun. I was having a lot of fun, clearly, as I recount stories from over a decade ago. As that pitch misses 1-0 to Dwyer, but I started having even more fun with it, trying to track down foul balls off the screen, the netting, and a couple of the players, including former Seattle Mariner Christopher Negron, would sometimes break out the stopwatch and time me as I would go to get broken bats. That one floats in high, 2 balls, no strikes. And the thing I can tell you about Negron, one of the best guys you'll ever meet, absolutely loves the game of baseball and to have fun doing it, and very, very happy to see him continuing his career with the Mariners after his playing days. That one misses for a strike. It's 3-0 to Dwyer. Negron made his debut with the Cincinnati Reds after being in the Red Sox organization for quite some time. Here's the 3-0. Oh, look out. Ball 4. Dwyer dances out of the way. And with 2 gone, the Wildcats have a runner aboard as the lineup card flips over. Now batting, the designated player, number 25, Harley Carpenter. Carpenter had a pair of hits in game 1, 2 for 2, and drew a walk, a run scored. Did have a tough day in the field. So in game 2, Allison Mitchell trying to keep her bat in the lineup any way she can. And that one's called the strike, 0-1. If you haven't seen it, Athletes Unlimited started a pair of leagues just recently within the past year. As the runner is going, Dwyer is in, thinking about third. Read the down ball well there. And the count's 1-1 on Carpenter, but Athletes Unlimited, they have 2 leagues going, a softball league and a volleyball league that I know of at the moment, and I spent a good bit of time watching the softball league over the summer and into the fall. I think that's when it was, yeah. And here's the 1-1, in the dirt, 2-1. Paulson keeps it close by, no advance. But the league has, Kat Osterman was the marquee player in softball, and a little bit different the way it works. It's all points-based. So if you score runs, if you win an inning, you get a certain amount of points. You win the ball game, you get more. And then players can earn points individually, as that one is down 3 balls, 1 strike. And those points are ranked into a leaderboard system where at the start of every week, the top 4 players become the league's captains for that week. They have a draft every week. The teams change, and then they go out and compete. Of course, Kat Osterman was just about always a captain as that one's in. It's now 3-2. a lot of fun to watch. Kat Osterman, of course, a U.S. Olympian. Fouled away at the plate. The count will stay 3-2, so we'll try it again. Osterman, a 4-time collegiate All-American, 2-time medal-winning Olympian, a 6-time professional All-Star, the left-handed pitcher originally from Houston, Texas, went to the University of Texas at Austin. Here's the 3-2. Outside corner, down goes Carpenter for the inning's third out, so both pitchers get the final out looking. It's 4-1 as we head to the top of the third. Top half of the third inning, Lauren Lowe leading off for the Vikings. First pitch from Womack. Slapped into left center and down. Lowe is going to round first and take a big turn. Williams able to get it in quickly to keep her at first. And the leadoff hitter aboard as Tori McDowell will stand in, and she's got a sweatshirt on. Good for her. Now batting the left fielder, number 9, Tori McDowell. Yeah, it's cold. I got no objections to that. Matter of fact, they should make that done more often, really, in outdoor sports in the cold if you can. Keep the players comfortable, and I'm sure the athletic trainers would approve as well, as probably lessens the opportunity for injury as the count's 1-0. And it is March, which means it's National Athletic Training Month. A month where we celebrate the athletic trainers and the work that they do. I know the players here at Central Washington love the athletic trainer for the softball program, Jake Decker, as that one's called a strike 1-1. And I'm sure the same can be said of Jake's counterpart for the Vikings. And they have played a major role, especially this year with everything going on with the pandemic and formulating the conference's response and how to handle it. And McDowell strikes this one well into center, a one-hop, and it will be fielded by Moyle the first. 2 hitters aboard with singles. Now batting the pitcher, number 4, Sydney Brown. Sydney Brown will come in. 1 for 1 on the day, a double and an RBI. 2 RBIs, actually. And a chance to drive in 2 more here with McDowell and Lowe aboard and nobody out in the top half of the third inning. The Vikings already with 7 hits. First pitch to Brown from Womack as a strike, 0-1. The Vikings pitchers, pretty good hitters from what we've seen this weekend. Anna Kasner, of course, a very good two-way player. Can both swing the stick, and that one's fouled away and makes her living in the circle. A couple new softballs come in. The athletic trainers here at Central and everywhere else are very essential to their program's success. Here's the 0-2. Outside, 1-2. From everything from wrapping with athletic tape to cupping, stem, concussion protocol, and then handling the effects of the pandemic, the athletic trainer's work never seems to end. The 1-2 is fouled off. Jake Decker's been here at Central a little bit longer than I have. He started as a graduate assistant before moving into the assistant athletic trainer role. 1 ball, 2 strikes on the Vikings pitcher. Pitch number 62. Ball 2, 2-2. Two aboard and nobody out. A pair of singles to start off this inning. That one is inside. Brown dances around it. Count runs full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. The 3-2. On the ground, right side. Zer's going to tag the bag at first. And she will not make the throw, so the runners advance. And there is 1 away here in the top of the 3rd. Now batting the designated player, number 44, Brooke Fesenbeck. Brooke Fesenbeck 0 for 1 on the day, flew out to right field back in the first to end it. Chance to drive in at least 1 with a fly ball. Possibly 2 with a single or an extra base hit. First pitch, swing and a miss. Climbs the ladder on her. And it's 0-1. Talked earlier about Kat Osterman, who obviously a legendary left-handed pitcher in the softball world. The other softball pitcher that comes to mind for me is Jenny Finch. And this is in the air to center. Shallow center coming in, and it's not going to be caught. Moyle, a sliding attempt, but couldn't make the grab. That might be the shortest double I think I've ever seen. Picks up the RBI, and it's 5-1 Vikings. Now batting the right fielder, number 18, Riley Wales. Now Riley Wales will stand in. In game number 2, 0 for 1, struck out swinging last inning. Jenny Finch, another former All-American during her college days, a medal-winning Olympian. As the first pitch misses, ball 1. She is a 2-time Pro All-Star. She pitched for the Arizona Wildcats during her collegiate career, the U.S. national team, and then the Chicago Bandits in the Pro League, as this is dropped into right center field. 1 run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score. The throw got cut off, and they might have gotten her at second, but instead it's a double. A pair of RBIs, and now the lineup card rolls back over. Allison Mitchell is going to go out, and that might be it won't be the day for Womack, as Riley Wales comes down from second base. You guys should go to her on that one. She just hit a double to right center. She booked it. You guys should go out and talk to her somewhere in the infield. But the Vikings are up 7-1. They've got 9 hits through 2 1/3 innings. So back to Jenny Finch, former Wildcat USA Olympian and the Chicago Bandits pitcher. She married Casey Daig, a former Major League Baseball pitcher who spent most of his career with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think he later appeared for the New York Yankees in the tail end of his career, but Daig was on the Diamondbacks when they had guys like Craig Counsell. It was Richie Sexton over at first, and I think it might have been just past the Luis Gonzalez days. But anyway, Jenny married Casey, and Richie Sexton made a comment to either Casey or Jenny that he could hit softball pitching, and Jenny said, okay, let's go. They went out in the field in Arizona, and Jenny set Richie down on 3. And then there were a couple other hitters for the Diamondbacks who wanted to take a chance, and they too went down the easy way with 3. Now batting the second baseman, number 20, Chantel Shimabukuro. And I can tell you, I stood in last year against Alyssa Rubel, who pitched for D1 Seattle University, the Wildcats' former graduate assistant, as the first pitch to Shimabukuro is a called strike 0-1. And in my defense, it was inside in the field house. Not in my defense, I struck out on a 2-2 changeup that was right at the top of the strike zone. And Alyssa said, she was like, no, get back in. We can put the count at 3-2. And I said, no, that's a strike. She just absolutely fooled me as the count goes to 1-1. But I can tell you the movement is much, much different from what we see over at baseball. I spent the first half of that at-bat just trying to figure out where the ball was coming from. But it's the rise and the drop ball that really, really gets me. The rise ball, of course, very little chance of hitting if it's in the right spot, as Shimabukuro fouls that one off the backstop, and it caroms out of play. I always find it entertaining, though, when baseball players say they could easily hit softball pitchers, and I just tell them, gentlemen, go ahead and step in the box. It is not as easy as you think it is. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fouled away by Shimabukuro. She stays alive. 72 pitches, 46 strikes. I can't see the Wildcats bullpen. There is action. I believe it's Rainey Harris warming up. Can't quite see the number through the fence, which means it must be Harris, as that is fouled off. We'll reset and try it one more time at 1-2. Shimabukuro in this one 0 for 2, but had a pair of hits, a pair of runs scored, and a pair of runs driven in. Top of the lineup for the Vikings. Womack exhales, the 1-2. On the ground, cued down the first baseline. Zur will meet her for the tag, and out number 2. Wales does advance to third, and that'll bring up Marino with 2 away. Now batting the third baseman, number 14, Megan Marino. Womack's first offering on the ground. Back up the middle and off the glove of Sydney Brown. Wales comes across to score, and it is 8-1 Vikings. Now batting the shortstop, number 19, Tatum Dow. That is the 6th defensive error committed by the Wildcats in 2 games today. Four runs now for the Vikings in the third, matches their total from the first inning. First pitch over, a called strike. 9 hits for Western, just 2 for Central so far. The 0-1. Misses a snap throw down to first from Seaton, and back in time. On the dive is Marino. First base coach checked in on Marino. She's okay, though. Might have stung her hand a little bit on that dive back in. Ground not exactly soft here in March. This is on the ground, chopped, foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now on down. Wildcats head on the road this weekend. They go to Western Oregon University. Their first road series of the season. After what is a 6-game homestand. Oh, that one gets a piece of Dow. And she will head down to first. That might be worth a couple extra steps down the first baseline. Yeah, that one stings. If you're a hitter, you want to get hit in a fleshy part. That was not a fleshy part. I think it was on the knee. The athletic trainer coming out and giving it a look. And in the cold, that makes it sting even worse. Now batting the first baseman, number 24, Dakota Brooks. So with 2 down, the Vikings have some more life. Runners on first and second. As Brooks comes up, walked and scored in the first. Back in game 1 yesterday, she had the solo home run in the top of the first inning. Here's the first pitch from Womack. In the air to left. Williams moving over, and she will make the grab. So no damage done after the hit by pitch. The Vikings, however, do score 4 on the inning on 4 hits, helped along by 1 error. There are 2 stranded. It's 8-1 as we come back for the bottom of the 4th after this. Bottom of the third inning, Keegan Wise leading off for Central. The precipitation has come back, just started up again. I can see snow, slush, something falling. So now not only are we battling the weather, but also the daylight, as that first pitch is in for a strike. No lights here at Frederick Field, so we reach that 5 to 5:30 range. It might be ball game. Brown winds and delivers. Outside, ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Wildcats right fielder. The Vikings, as Wise swings at strike 2, and she is down in the count 1-2. The Vikings, after this, will be at home for a 4-game set against St. Martin's University over in Bellingham at Viking Field. Here's the 1-2. Upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hirai has been tossing in the Vikings bullpen. I would not say she is getting loose quite yet. More of a stretch and toss type of deal over there. Here's the 2-2. That one's outside. The count runs full to the Wildcats right fielder. The 3-2. Up and in, a check swing. Wise will draw the leadoff walk. Now batting, the center fielder, number 13, Teresa Moyle. The Wildcats center fielder hitting .400 on the season, a single and an RBI back in the first. Also can credit her with a run saved defensively, able to cut a ball off and make a strong throw back in, forcing the Vikings to hold the runner at third. Time called as Brown is struggling with the wristband. That call might have been covered by some of the fabric there. She readjusted. Should be good to go. On the ground, left side, snagged by Marino, 5-4. There will not be a second throw as Moyle will reach on the fielder's choice. Now batting, the first baseman, number 19, Maddie Zur. Maddie Zur stands back in for the Wildcats over at first. Had a busy day over there in game number 1 and in the last half inning, as that one is upstairs. Got the force out on Shimabukuro. Had the unassisted double play on a line drive in the 3rd or 4th inning of game number 1. Able to dive back and tag the bag. 2 balls, no strikes here to Zur. Here's the 2-0. Runner Not going to advance. Everybody's back to where they started. Got about halfway out there before a no. Got to go back. The Wildcats have flipped coaches. Allison Mitchell's now over at first. Tracy Tawney is in the third base coach's box. Central doing whatever they can at this point to try to spur on some offense, bring the odds back in their favor. 3-0 misses low. It's ball 4. There are 2 aboard now with 1 down. Now batting, the catcher, number 4, Maya Seaton. Oh for 1 on the day for the Wildcats catcher. No, actually, excuse me, 0 for 0, had a sacrifice bunt back in the first. Seaton came to the Wildcats as an infielder, has since moved back behind the plate. As this one is fouled off, backing out of play, which is becoming really much more of a trend in both baseball and softball. Infielders moving back behind home plate. The sheer athleticism, and a lot of times it is the shortstops who get moved back to the catching position. The thought process there being that if they have that athleticism and arm at short, they make some of the longest throws in the infield. If you go back into that 6 hole, as this is going to be foul, it bounced just in front of the bag as it twisted into foul territory. A lot more infielders moving back behind home plate as catchers seem to be coming up fewer and fewer these days. Full-time catchers anyway. A lot of split time back behind home plate. And at that point, really, you only got to teach the receiving and the blocking portion of it. Oh, 2 misses, 1-2 as Seaton kind of lurched out over the plate. And, of course, the catching position in the last 5 or so years has become much more of an offense-heavy position as Seaton gets into this one, into center field. The catch will be made by Lowe. Moyle is going to hold it second. 2 down now on the inning. Now batting the shortstop, number 23, Sydney Brown. Long days of the catchers hitting about 210. Those days are gone. Now it's expected a 265, 270 average as Brown swings and misses at the first pitch. Defense a much lower priority, it would seem, once we got past 2015 or so. The offensive production rising and continuing to do so. Brown pops this one up left side. Marino is there to haul it in for out number 3, the Wildcats. They leave 2 stranded and they trail 8-1 as we head to the top of the 4th. Top of the fourth inning, Lauren Lowe going to lead things off for the Vikings as one of the field umpires, I believe it's the third base umpire, and Izzy Womack have a chat. The Vikings ahead by 7, approaching that run rule. A rule that, quite frankly, baseball should adopt across the board at the NCAA level, but they do not. First pitch to Lowe. And misses outside. 1 ball, no strikes. GNAC play kicks off not next weekend, but the weekend after. On the inside corner, and it's 1-1. The Wildcats chasing another GNAC title. And there is some room to improve before conference play begins in earnest. As that one is outside. 2 balls and a strike. Here's the 2-1, off speed, outside, 3 balls and a strike. Womack up to 84 pitches. 53 of them have found the strike zone. Three-one in the dirt, ball 4. The leadoff hitter for the Vikings is aboard. Now batting, the left fielder, number 9, Tori McDowell. And McDowell will come back up. The leadoff hitter has been a tough out to get for Central Washington pitchers this weekend. And as the old adage goes, you can't defend against walks or home runs. First pitch skips in a ball 1-0. Seaton bouncing out of her crouch. Lowe staying put over at first. One ball, no strike count. Womack exhales. Winds and delivers. That one misses. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Both teams have left 5 runners stranded. The Vikings, despite scoring 19 runs in game 1, left 8 on board. Swing and a miss there. The 2-0 to McDowell. She was sitting dead red. Just couldn't make contact. An aggressive 2-0 hack. Two and one. Fouled away off the end of the bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2. On the ground, chop left side. Brown to second for 1. They will not get 2. They will pick up 1 out, and that will bring up the pitcher. Now batting, the pitcher number 4, Sydney Brown. Sydney Brown already with a couple RBIs on the day for the Vikings. Had that double back in the first, part of a 4-run opening frame for Western. This is on the ground right side. King can't get to it as she slid down. That'll be a single through the right side. Well, the opposing pitcher with 2 hits on the day. And we're going to have our first lineup change. It'll be a pinch runner at second. Karami will come on to run. Now running at second, number 16, Taylor Karami. Coming off the bench, cold in this one. A little bit tougher than most days, as it is chilly now. The parkas are out for everybody. Sydney Williams out in left, trying to keep her arm loose out there, just using the glove as a small weight. "90 pitches. This is 91 for Womack. Fouled away. It's tough standing in the field, and especially if you're standing out there for a while, as these innings have dragged on a little bit. Colder it gets, the more you stiffen up. Here's the 0-1. 1-1. Womack checking the wristband. In the air to right. Wise going back the track. It's going to be off the wall. 1 run is going to come around. The throw to the plate is not in time, and it is an RBI double, as Brown had to hold up on the play to make sure that ball wasn't caught. So she is now over at third, and it's ducks on the pond for Wales. Now batting the right fielder, number 18, Riley Wales. First pitch misses, a ball, 1-0. That one's upstairs, ball 2. Three and 0 the count to the Vikings 9-hole hitter. It's back to the top of the order. First base is open. However, Shimabukuro has swung the bat well this series. She is always a threat to reach. That one's down, a 4-pitch walk from Womack. And now the bases are loaded. Now batting the second baseman, number 20, Chantel Shimabukuro. Well, the sun pops out from behind the clouds for the first time in what seems like a game and a half almost. Might not help us up here in the press box, but hopefully makes it a little bit warmer down on the field. Also, hopefully it adds a little bit of brightness to the live stream. I know it gets tough in these later innings, but not a whole lot we can do without any lights. Seaton's going to go out as Womack has thrown 5 straight balls. As a catcher, go out, try to break up that streak and try to recenter your pitcher. One and 0. Womack delivers. Check swing, call the strike anyway. 1 ball, 1 strike. The next pitch will be number 100 for Womack. 55% strikes. Vikings 9-1 lead, 11 hits. On the ground, cued to the right side. And again, Zur and Shimabukuro are going to meet in the base path. A run does score, however. And it's 10-1. Now batting, the third baseman, number 14, Megan Marino. Womack looking into the dugout to get the signs, or the call out rather. Swing and a miss on the first pitch, down and in. She'll ask if that was a strike anyway. One of those questions as a hitter you almost don't want the answer to, because most of the time you know what the answer is. No, that would not have been a strike. You chased it. Although there it was certainly close. Fouled off, it's 0-2. Over at second is Wales. Fesenbeck at third. One pitch away from getting out of the inning is Womack. Not going to be that one. 1-2, a waste pitch. One of the strategies that has changed in the last decade or so is where that 0-2 pitch should be delivered. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, a waste pitch was well off the plate. That one's going to get past Seaton. 1 run will come around to score on the wild pitch. Count evens up at 2-2. And the Vikings have an 11-1 lead. But that strategy has changed from clearly a ball to something closer to a strike, still not a strike, but not necessarily something that skips in the dirt or something 8 to 12 inches off. And this one is driven left center field. Moyle back at the track. She will haul that one in about 1.5 steps from the wall. A long fly out there to end the inning. The Vikings push across 3 runs on 2 hits, no errors. They leave 1 stranded as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning here in Ellensburg. Bottom half of the fourth inning, 11-1, the Vikings leading, and there is a change in the circle. Hanako Hirai will take to the rubber, the left-hander. First pitch from her is a strike, 0-1. McKenna King standing in, still searching for her first hit of the season. And Allison Mitchell back over in the first base coach's box. Tracy Tawney down in the third base coach's box for the Wildcats. 0-1, check swing grounder. Oh, a nice hop there for Shimabukuro, who comes up and makes the play. One down. Now batting the left fielder, number 22, Sydney Williams. And now we're going to have nope. McKenna King is going to come back to the plate. And it looks like we had an illegal pitch. So we'll come back to a 1-1 count. Yeah, the count will be 1 ball, 1 strike. I would be curious to hear what portion of that delivery was an illegal pitch. But here's the 1-1. This is right back up the middle. A beautiful play by Dow to snare it, but cannot make the throw, so McKenna King will have her first hit of the season. And now Sydney Williams will come up. Now batting the left fielder, number 22, Sydney Williams. You might classify her walk-up at this point as vintage. Name of the song escapes me at the moment.
It's After Midnight Sky. It just came out in Miley Cyrus's new album that dropped
Fouled away there.
last year.
Oh, so it's a Miley Cyrus cover. Okay. Getting some inside information from members of the press box. In the air and fouled away. No balls and 2 strikes to Williams. McKenna King over at first. Southpaw winds and delivers. Upstairs for a ball, 1-1. The term southpaw used to describe left-handed pitchers, as Williams uses the bat as a sword, goes down swinging for out number 1. Now batting the third baseman, number 3, Grace Dwyer. The term southpaw popped into a semi-frequent lexicon back around 1848. Originally associated with left-handed boxers. Later came around as that one misses up and in to encapsulate all left-handers. We got history facts too here. Eri checks the wristband. Winds and delivers. Dwyer swinging and fouls it off. Some light action in the Vikings bullpen. A right-hander is loosening up. The sweatshirts are on, so I cannot tell whom exactly is warming up. Here's the 1-1. Called a strike. The off-speed buckled the knees there of Dwyer. Double clutch in the batter's box, a very tough thing to deal with once you've already made the initial commitment on the pitch. The 1-2 up and in. And Dwyer started to go around but was able to hold back. The count evens up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Wildcats' only run came back in the first inning. It has been goose eggs since then. This is through the left side. Runners on first and second now for Central. Now batting, the designated player, number 25, Harley Carpenter. The Vikings having a corner infield meeting in the circle, it looks like. Brooks, Paulson, Marino came over for a second. All came to chat with Eri. First pitch. A check swing, foul territory. That is going to fall just beyond the reach of Dow and Marino in foul territory. And Carpenter gets away with one there. I think if she swings, it might have been a double. Instead, the check swing falls harmlessly to the ground. The 0-1. Another check swing foul. Wildcats having a tough day at the plate. And continued from game 1. Managed just 5 hits and 2 runs, and here 4 hits and 1 run, though defensively they have been much better. Count is 1-2 as that one's upstairs. Here's the 1-2. Fouled away. Carpenter stays alive, but she was well ahead of that pitch. One ball, 2 strikes. Eri checks the wristband, winds and delivers. Low and outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Paulson, a nice job of keeping it close behind the plate. That'll hold the runners at first and second. Eri delivers. This one is through the right side. King is rounding third, heading for the plate. Going to third is Dwyer. And it's now 11-2. Carpenter drives in a run. Now batting, the right fielder, number 1, Keegan Wise. And that'll bring up Keegan Wise, wearing the collar on the day. Well, actually, she's 0 for 0 on the day. Had a sacrifice bunt in the first and drew a walk in the third. First pitch up high, 1-0. Here's the 1-0. That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. Wise will check her sheet. Eri checks hers. And the 2-0. Call the strike, 2-1. Well, you want to know how softball games get longer? I think I might have just figured it out. It is taking much, much longer to relay signs into both the hitters and the pitchers. The 2-1. Wise squares around, pulls back, ball 3. The added time there, and of course, pitchers who just like to take their time, walk around the mound, not as big of an issue in softball. Here's the 3-1 to Wise. On the ground, right side. Dow's going to have only one play. She goes to first. And Wise has herself a run batted in. 2 down now. The Wildcats have scored 2 runs on the inning so far. Now batting, the center fielder, number 13, Teresa Moyle. That one is upstairs. 1-0 on Moyle. Luckily, however, there's nobody on the field today that is as bad about wasting time as Mike Hargrove. When he played, he was known, as that one's in the dirt, as the human rain delay. I'm pretty sure the same could be said about Sergio Garcia back when he was on the PGA Tour. Sergio Garcia was the inspiration for the swing clock in the PGA. The 2-0 upstairs, 3 balls and no strike. Hargrove, though, similar to Al Leiter. Leiter was a left-handed pitcher, spent a lot of time with the New York Mets, and he was one of the slowest paced pitchers in Major League Baseball, taking his time at every opportunity he could. This one is flared into foul territory and down. So Moyle on the 3-0 takes a hack at it. Ended up off the hands. Here's the 3-1 on the ground towards short. Dow with the runner in front of her. Fields, what a play at first by Brooks. The extension, the grab, holds the bag for out number 3. A very, very nice play there by Brooks at first. And that ends the Wildcats half of the fourth. They score 2 runs on 3 hits, leave 1 stranded. It's 11-3 as we head to the top of the 5th. Top of the 5th inning. 11-3. Womack back out there. Tatum Dow will be the first hitter she faces. That one's upstairs 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Baseball and softball, sports that are privy to rituals and consistency. And nobody was worse than that than Nomar Garcia-Paro when he played. His batting ritual, still one of those things that people mimic today. And that one's booted by Dwyer at third. Oh, umpire, look out. He had to get out of the way of Sidney Brown there. Leadoff hitter is on the error. Now batting the first baseman, number 24, Dakota Brooks. Just the second error committed by the Wildcats in this one, and now Brooks will stand in. 0 for 2 on the day. Struck out looking in the second. Flew out in the third. But walked and scored in the first. Womack's over the century mark. 109 pitches, 64 strikes. Womack winds and delivers. That one misses. 2 balls, no strikes. The Wildcats do have action in their bullpen. It looks like Rainey Harris, though I'm not positive. It's tough to see through the fence grating. Inside corner from Womack, it's 2-1. I don't think anybody's batting ritual has gotten as bad as Nomar's. With the feet tapping, the glove pulling, everybody seems to be moving at a faster pace than the former shortstop. This is on a line into right center field over the head of the second base umpire. Coming around will be Dow. And the Vikings have made it 12-3. Dow's run, of course, unearned, and that is gonna do it for Izzy Womack. So we'll take a short break. Rainey Harris will take over when we return. Back here in the top of the 5th, Rainey Harris takes over for Isabel Womack. The first pitch called strike 0-1. Book not fully closed on Womack. She did allow 12 runs on 12 hits. And she is still responsible for Dakota Brooks over at second. We'll throw the bookmark in, and that one misses inside. 1-1 now from Harris. Shadows start kicking in now down that third baseline. 1-1 is back over us here in the press box. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes from Harris. And Rainey Harris, a senior right-hander from Omak, Washington, transferred to the Wildcats from Concordia, Portland, after Concordia shut down last year. Rainey came up to Ellensburg and had to face her own former teammates during the tryout session with the Wildcats watching, and Seaton gets saved there. A great play by McKenna King. An ill-advised throw from Seaton could have resulted in a run scoring. Now a runner at third and 1 out. Now batting the left fielder, number 16, Taylor Korami. Neither of the middle infielders were moving towards the bag, and McKenna King's not going to get credit for anything, but if you're keeping score at home, put a little tally mark down for a run saved. That one misses. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Karami came in as a pinch runner and stayed in the game defensively. Two balls, no strikes. Fly ball deep enough will get a run in, as will any base hit. The Vikings have to be happy with what they've seen this weekend for the most part, as this is chopped down the third base line. Dwyer not going to have a play. An infield single for Karami. And now Hirai will hit. Now batting, the pitcher number 1, Hanako Hirai. So the pitcher spot comes up in the lineup. Hanako had a pinch hit opportunity in game number 1. First pitch from Harris misses 1-0, and now getting a chance to swing it in game number 2. Time call by Hirai. And she wants the signs again. (12-3) the score. Brooks over at third. Seaton's throw to second. Going to be cut off front by King. A stolen base for Karami. Brooks can advance, however, with the infield cutting that ball off halfway. One of a few plays you can run in a first and third situation defensively. The throw can go through, cut it off in the middle of the infield, back to the pitcher. Harris winds and delivers. Shot down a third. Dwyer drops down to a knee. Able to field it and fire on to first to retire the Vikings pitcher for the inning's second out. Now batting, the designated player, number 44, Brooke Fesenbeck. Fesenbeck, a pair of doubles and an RBI. It's an RBI apiece on those doubles, by the way, in her last 2 at-bats. They came in the third and the fourth, and I'm sure she'd like to keep that momentum going with another RBI double here, though doing so would make it 14-3, as Karami definitely has the wheels to score from second. And with 2 outs, runners going on any contact. The 1-0, inside 2-0. Fesenbeck going to take a long walk away from the box this time before coming back. Some of those new rules introduced in minor league baseball around 2007, 2008. Players not permitted to leave the box after taking a pitch, as Fesenbeck will stride about halfway in between the dugout and home plate. Count is 3-0. And when I worked in Greenville, there was a game that was decided by an umpire denoting a strike on a player. That one is outside ball 4. Fesenbeck draws the 4-pitch walk. Now batting, the right fielder, number 18, Riley Wales. The Lakewood Blue Claws playing the Greenville Drive, and we got to the top of the 9th inning. 2 strikes on the Blue Claws center fielder at the time. the tying run at third, the go-ahead run on second with 2 outs. And catching for the drive was none other than John Egan, as the first pitch there is a strike 0-1. And after a 2-strike offering, the batter stepped out of the box with both of his feet. And Egan pointed to the home plate umpire and said, hey, he's out of the box. And the home plate umpire, instead of giving a warning, immediately called strike 3 and ended the ball game. That one misses. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. It's the only time I've seen a manager get ejected both after and then before a game. Gary Roadcap, the manager for the Lakewood Blue Claws, thrown out on that call. And then the next day at the pregame meeting, handed the lineup to the home plate umpire, turned to the now first base umpire, and got tossed. A year later, however, minor league baseball loosened that rule so that players could go in and out of the box, realizing that the situation in Greenville was not ideal. 2 balls and 1 strike to Wales. Bases loaded and 2 outs. That one's gonna get by Seaton, but nobody's advancing. 3 balls and a strike. Three, 1 in the air, deep to center. Moyle going back. That one is going to scrape the wall on the way down. 1 run is going to score. 2 runs score. Seaton will block the throw to third. Got her. That will end the inning. However, all 3 runs do come around to score. It is 15-3. 34 runs in 2 games for the Vikings. We'll take a break and we'll be back with the bottom half of the 5th right after this. Bottom of the 5th inning, a battery change for the Vikings. Kiera Doan will take over in the circle. And behind the plate, it's Hannah Matthews. Doan made a start and an appearance yesterday. Pitched a third of an inning and got one fly out in game number 1. And then in game 2, went the distance, allowing 8 hits. A check swing there from Zur. They'll ask it first, and yes, she did go around. So a swinging strike there. The count is 0-1. Got another fact update from my friend Jeff Evans over at Western. It's the most runs in consecutive games in program history, as Zur swings at that one on the ground to third, over to first. And Maddie Zur is retired 5-3 if you're scoring at home. Now batting the catcher, number 4, Maya Seaton. The Vikings back in 2016 scored 33 runs in a pair of games at Montana State Billings. They won those games 15-1 and 18-13. That one's upstairs 1-0. Right now, Sydney Brown in line to get the win for the Vikings. And this one is slated to end should the score not change. Call the strike, 1-1 on the outside corner to Seaton, who's hitting .375 on the year. 0 for 2 in this one, however. Or 0 for 1, excuse me. Had the sacrifice bunt in the first and the fly out to center in the third. The 1-1. Fouled away. Bit of a late swing there from Seaton. It has been a good weekend for the Vikings and Vikings fans. They should come away 3-1 from this season with their in-state rival. The 1-2. Upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. I don't think in game 1 it would have mattered who Central would have had to throw. The Vikings offense has been on fire today, extending from game 1 into game 2. That one misses. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. It has a combined 30 hits. And in both games, the Vikings have outpaced their hits with the amount of runs scored. The 3-2. Outside corner got her looking. Seaton thought she might have had ball 4, but no way. That one in over the corner for out number 2. And now it's the final chance for the Wildcats down to their final out. Now batting the shortstop, number 23, Sydney Brown. For Central, you've got to hope that this is getting the early season nerves out. Just their first full series of the season. Brown swinging at the first pitch, chops it foul. A nice play by Marino over there in foul territory. In 6 games so far this year, I have not seen a coach field the ball in the coach's box. Mostly because it has been too cold to do so. Doan winds and delivers the 0-1. That one's low. Waiting for the signs to come in from the dugout. Doan toes the rubber. Up and out. Oh, pops out of the mitt of Matthews behind the plate. Always hated that as a catcher. That ball pops in and out of the mitt like that. Even if it is a ball, it doesn't matter. Still a bit frustrating. 2 balls, 1 strike from Doan. Just misses. 3 balls and 1 strike. The Wildcats trying to extend this any way they can. Doan trying to get out of this inning under 15 pitches. Right now she's at 12, 6 of them strikes. That'll be strike 2 on the inside corner. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The Vikings 1 pitch away from taking game 4 of the series and going home to Bellingham with a 3-1 series win. Doan delivers the 3-2. Fouled away. We'll reset, try it one more time. This week, I assume the Wildcats will be hard at work on defense. A lot of reps for everybody. The 3-2 again. Check swing in the air, foul territory. It is back into the Vikings bullpen. And that is something we have seen far too often in this game for Central, the check swings making contact. We'll try the 3-2 for a third time. The 3-2. Down and in. Brown will draw the walk to keep the game alive. Now batting the second baseman, number 6, McKenna King. King on the day, 1 for 2, singled and scored in the 4th. Lined out to first back in the 2nd. This is on the ground, chop foul. There have been a lot of awkward finishes to swings for Wildcats, too, today that I've noticed. A lot of sword action. Not quite the way you draw it up. And I imagine that's something that Allison Mitchell will touch on post-game and in practice this week. The 0-1 to King. That one misses 1-1. And unlike close games where you're taking until you get a strike, when you're in one of these games, swing away. There's no such thing as a 12-run home run, so if you get a pitch to hit at this point, go ahead and try to drive it somewhere. Here's the 1-1. Into the air and right. Will it stay fair? It will not. It winds its way foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But even there, that didn't appear to be a full swing from King. King will come back to the box, or, well, what's left of it. With all the runs the Vikings have scored in these 2 games, there's not much chalk left at home plate. Now the 1-2 from Doan. On the ground, foul. King will keep alive. Doan now up to 20 pitches on the inning, 12 of them strikes. On deck is Teresa Moyle. No, excuse me, Sydney Williams. I'm looking at the wrong side of the lineup card. And the 1-2. That one misses. A snap throw down to first to keep an eye on Sydney Brown. Counts 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Vikings have been 1 pitch away twice now. Doan looking in. The 2-2 on the ground, short. Dow fields, fires across, and another good stretch from Brooks to end the ball game. That will do it for game number 2. Western takes it 15-3. They have 14 hits. The Wildcats managed just 5. No errors defensively for the Vikings, 2 for the Wildcats. And that will do it for this weekend from Gary and Bobby Frederick Field. For all of us here at Central Washington University, the Great Northwest Athletic Conference, and NCAA, I'm Caleb Dunlop. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.